Please have a seat. We're going to begin the debate just in a few moments. My name is Rafael Ferraro. I'm the president of the Quebec Liberal Party, and it is my honor today to welcome you to the official English language debate of the Quebec Liberal Party leadership. So first, I'd like to thank quickly our members of the region of Montreal West and its regional president, Ralph Nahas, as well as our members of the riding of Jacques Cartier, where we are today. And I've seen his M&A, Greg Kelly, who's here with us. I'd like also to mention the presence of William Tetley, who's the party's vice president for English-speaking members. So as you know, our leadership race began on January 13. It was the first phase of the race, the consultation period, where the candidates toured the province to go see the members in all regions. This period is over since April 11, and there's 5 candidates who officially qualified, and now we're in the second phase of the leadership race, which are the debates, and it's going to go through all the month of May. There's going to be 5 national debates and 1 organized by the Youth Commission. Our first debate was yesterday in Laval, and the next one is going to be Saturday, May 10th in Gatineau. So the moderator for our French debates, for those of you who attended the one yesterday, is Marie-Ève Doyon. She's a former Liberal cabinet employee and also a political commentator for Québécois. And the moderator for today's English debate is Miss Brenda O'Farrell. She is a former senior and national editor at the Montreal Gazette. She is actually the president of Bryn Mawr Media, which publishes the 1019 report and also the 1510 West. And also to note, she's the founder of the O'Farrell Wondrous Adventure Scholarship, which is registered with the John Abbott College Foundation, and that gives a grant every year to a young student. So our leadership convention will be held on June 14 in Quebec City. Please note that there's an important change this year for a leadership race. All members in good standing will be allowed to vote, either online or by phone. This is a change from our previous races, where you had to attend in person at the convention to be allowed to vote. So take note also the date of May 9th. This is next Friday. It's the deadline to become a member in good standing to be allowed to vote. So make sure you verify your membership to be effectively a member in good standing until next Friday, and spread the words to your friends and family, because it's the deadline to respect. And of course, at the end of the debates, at the end of the month of May, and after a convention on June 14, we'll all rally behind our new leader. And until then, if there was still any doubts about the interest that would generate our leadership race and the enthusiasm within our members, well, I'm proud to tell you that if we add up the number of people that attended yesterday's debate in Laval and the ones we have today in John Abbott, well, we're going to have close to 1,000 people, members, that attended our 2 debates. And that's not to mention also the thousands online that are following us. So the revival of the Quebec Liberal Party is real, and it's happening right now. So without further ado, I invite you to welcome to the stage our moderator for today's debate, Miss Brenda O'Farrell, and your leadership candidates.
Good afternoon, and welcome to this second of 6 debates for the Quebec Liberal Party. My name is Brenda O'Farrell, and I'll be your moderator today. Each debate in this set of 6 has a specific theme. But seeing that this is the only debate that will be held in English, we will try to touch on a number of themes, in particular, issues that directly address concerns that affect the English-speaking community. I would just like to highlight that the positions of the candidates on the stage this afternoon, as well as the speaking order in which they will be taking to the mics, has been determined prior to the debate based on a random draw. I'd also like to ask members of the audience to remain as quiet as possible during the course of the debate and hold their applause till the end. So first, let me outline the structure of today's debate. We will begin with each candidate making a 1-minute opening statement. I will then ask the first question, then each candidate will have a minute to respond. I will then ask a follow-up question to one candidate, who will have 45 seconds to respond, which will be followed then by 5 minutes of open debate. There'll be 5 rounds of questions, and at the end, when we conclude, each candidate will have 2 minutes to make a closing statement. Now let me remind you again that the speaking order has been determined by a random draw before the debate. So I wish all the candidates a good debate.
Thank you.
So let's begin with the opening statements, and I call on Mr. Marc Bélanger. You have 1 minute.
Over the last 25 years, I've been involved in international commerce. I have helped companies all across Quebec to grow their businesses all around the world. Negotiation, contract, everything always are in English. So even if I'm a strong believer in French protection, there is no way that I could think that we have to fight English. The current government is working to divide the population. It's wrong. We are stronger when we are together and we work for a better Quebec.
Thank you, Mr. Bélanger. I now give the floor to Mr. Pablo Rodriguez.
For 7 years, François Legault has been dividing Quebecers as a way to distract us from his poor record. He has been targeting groups to score cheap political points, and this is wrong. Regardless of the language we speak, we're all Quebecers. There's a better path, a path that only the Liberal Party can take, where we can protect the French language and people's right, where we can all be part of the solution. As leader, I intend to take that path. I will roll back the CAQ's most divisive decisions. I will focus on our shared values, on what brings us together, and have a plan for an economy that improves people's lives and fully funds services. A quality education that gives every child a chance to succeed. Better health services so that seniors can age with dignity. I will bring people together because this is what a premier should do.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Carl Blackburn.
I'm Carl Blackburn, and I'm running for leader of the QLP. My last name is Blackburn, and it looks like a Scottish name. But I'm working on it. But let me tell you something. My expertise is economy. But I will try to be better in English, like I said. Until a few weeks ago, I was in charge of the Conseil du Patronat du Québec. Now, Anglophones are fully pledged Quebecers who have rights that need to be protected. The CAQ and the PQ government use language and secularism as tools to divide us. That needs to stop. Under my leadership, a liberal government will respect and protect all Quebecers, including, of course, the Anglophone community, their rights, their institutions, and their access to services in English.
Thank you, Mr. Blackburn. And just for the record, your English is very good.
Thank you very much.
Next up, we have Mr. Charles Milliard.
Hello and welcome to all of you. I'm very happy to be with you today. With this leadership race, the Quebec Liberal Party has again a meeting with history. It's an opportunity for us to become the only relevant alternative to the CAQ. Currently, we have a tired government with a long list of failures. And François Legault has even succeeded in draining our pool of collective dreams. To get there, we need a new leader, a fresh leader, someone that is going to inspire all Quebecers. I am that leader. As you know, I'm a pharmacist. I'm also a businessman. I'm also proud that my team and I represent renewal. From a 16-year-old in the Pontiac region to Jennifer Macaron to our very own Clifford Lincoln, we represent a new era for the QLP, an intergenerational alliance that is going to protect everyone's rights. Today, I'm going to prove to you that I'm the leader we need to win back the confidence of Quebecers and, let there be no doubt, win in 2026. Thank you.
Again, I ask you to keep your applause till the end. Moving right along, I now give the floor to Mr. Mario Roy.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Today is like coming home because I did my studies at McDonald campus from McGill University at the campus nearby. I started by doing my farm management and technology program as I'm coming from a farm, as a farmer. And I also did agricultural economics. I stand in front of you and I'm running to be a candidate and to be the next leader of the Liberal Party to serve you. So, dear militant, today you have the future of the Liberal Party, the future of Quebec, the future of Canada in your hands. I stand in front of you to fight for you, to serve you. The sovereignty of Canada have never been so at risk, and we need to have a leader who is going to be able to fight and win against Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon and win against Donald Trump.
Thank you. You guys aren't listening. You're still clapping. So we're going to jump right in. The focus of our first question is healthcare. At the beginning of this year, reports of hospital overcrowding put capacity levels topping the 200% mark, including at the Montreal General, the Jewish General, the Royal Vic, which is part of the McGill University Health Centre, even here in the West Island at the Lakeshore General. In addition, wait times for surgeries are what many would simply describe as too long. Added to that, the province's new agency, Santé Québec, which now is responsible for the managing of the province's health and social service network, is aiming to cut $1.4 billion from its budget. My question to you is, what will a Liberal government under your leadership do to improve access to health services? I am going to invite Mr. Blackburn to go first.
Thank you for your question. First of all, we will take some good and perfect decision. First of all, we saw the result of Mr. Legault administration. He failed on that mission. And that mission failing, we have non-access to our services in education, but also in the healthcare system. Of course, we need to prioritize our services. First of all, with a stronger economy, I think we'll have to invest in our economy to have a stronger economy to create prosperity, to create growth. With that growth and with that prosperity, of course, it will be possible to support our infrastructure, but also our services. And we need to focus on that. It's not acceptable, actually, that here in Quebec, we don't have access to our health system like what we have, actually, here in Quebec, based on the François Legault failure. And this is exactly what I will propose, to have a strong economy to deliver better services in health and education.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll go to Mr. Pablo Rodriguez.
Well, the first thing we'll do is to be honest with Quebecers, to tell them the truth. We're not going to do like François Legault. Remember when he said it's going to take 90 minutes at the ER, you're going to see a doctor. Everyone's going to have a family doctor. This operation is going to be super quick. That was a lie. We're not going to repeat that. Anyways, Quebecers are not going to believe us. So we're definitely going to be honest with Quebecers. They deserve the truth. Second, we have to move away from our current model, which is too centered around hospitals. We have to put money back in the CLSC. We have to incentivize doctors to go there. We have to fully fund them so they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have also to invest at home care where we can keep people at home, because that's, especially our seniors, that's where what they want to be. They want to be treated there as much as possible. And also increase prevention. That way you also save a lot of money and you do the right thing.
Thank you. Monsieur Roy, you have the floor.
Thank you. So the healthcare system is really not going in the right direction. I'm proposing something that is completely different from the other one. So Santé Québec has been created simply to hide the fact that the healthcare system is not going well. We absolutely need to put that aside and focus on the public healthcare system. So what I'm proposing is to bring back everybody in the public healthcare system right now and make it 100% public. Because if we want to save the system that has been created by Robert Bourassa many years ago, we absolutely need to bring back everybody in that system. The Collège des Médecins is asking it right now, and the government is refusing to do it. I will be the one who will do it when I will be elected.
Thank you. Now we will turn to Monsieur Marc Bélanger.
Well, two things. First of all, like I mentioned, since the beginning of my campaign, I said that it's important not to think about expenses, but the revenues. In the future, if we want to have like a system that is suitable, we need to make sure that we will generate income. And again, what I said, we go international, national resources, natural resources, sorry. So all those elements will make sure that will bring Quebec at a certain level of income that will make sure that we will be able to support long term. With respect to the healthcare, I think that first of all, we should stop thinking just party per party. We need to have like a discussion transpartisan. I think that we need to create a commission having experts from different parties, from society, to bring solution all together. I think that this is the way we need to work as a team, as a group. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Now we'll go to our last candidate, Monsieur Charles Milliard.
Well, in terms of access to healthcare, obviously this is the #1 issue for Quebecers. And you know, the social contract is broken in Quebec. We pay taxes and we're entitled to public services, especially in healthcare, and we don't have access to that. So this is a major issue in Quebec right now. And as a pharmacist, if we look at the medication Quebecers are taking right now, we know we have huge problems. There's a rise in chronic diseases. There's a rise in anxiety, both socially and individually. So we need to work on that. Santé Québec is supposed to treat patients, but I'm not going to be patient with Santé Québec because obviously this is not going in the right direction. What we need to do is to have more multidisciplinarity in Quebec. So we need patients to be in doctor's office when they need to be in a doctor's office. Otherwise, we can have more healthcare professionals helping along the way. And I think that we need to rethink how we treat seniors in Quebec. We need to invest way more in home care services. That way we're going to have seniors that are going to be both physically and mentally much more in good health.
Thank you, merci. I have a follow-up question which I'll direct to Monsieur Roy. You will have 45 seconds to respond, and then we will open it up to a debate for 5 minutes. Monsieur Roy, last fall, the Institut des Statistiques de Québec issued a report entitled A Portrait of Job Vacancy Rates in the Quebec Healthcare and Social Assistance Industry. It said healthcare and social assistance had one of the highest job vacancy rates in Quebec at 7.4%. That was more than double, or almost double, the overall vacancy rate in the entire province, in all other sectors. The 7.4% vacancy rate in 2023 was even more than double the rate that it was in 2019. My question to you is how will a Liberal government fill those vacancies with the budget cuts being sought? And how will it fill the new jobs that will be created with the opening of a new hospital in Vaudreuil?
Yes, so there's two sides to that question. The first one is where will we get the money? We need to exploit our natural resources to create wealth and being able to pay for all the services, public services that we have. That's the first part. The second part is exactly what I mentioned in my opening statement. The public health sector is being destroyed by the privatization of the system. So people are leaving our public health sector and is going very, very rapidly, very fast right now. We absolutely need to stop it if we want to save our public health sector today.
Okay, we're going to open it up. We're going to go to Mr. Blackburn.
Thank you very much, Brenda. But everything is about economy. This is exactly what we share together. But at the end also, we can't accept to create structures and bureaucracy like Mr. Lago did. We have to invest on our services. We don't have to invest in our structures. But when we talk about economy, I'm totally agree with what Mario said. We need to create prosperity. We need to create income, more income with our value, with our natural resources. But also, and this is, I think, a big difference between Mario and I, we need to have access also to the private sector to help the public system to be better in our deliverance in services.
You're proposing exactly what the CAC is doing right now. You're proposing exactly, so we don't replace the CAC with the CAC.
The difference between the CAC and I, the difference, Mario, between the CAC and I, is always be the public fund will pay for their services.
Okay, we're going to go to Mr. Rodriguez.
Yeah, well, I think that it's very important that we realize that the front line cannot be all about doctors. We can use nurses, we can use pharmacists, we can use social workers. So we free the doctors and they see the patients when they need to see them. Second, and I said it, we need to move away the patients from the hospital. Let's try to keep them at home. First, let's reopen those CLSC because they're important, especially in regions, but let's keep patients at home as much as possible, especially seniors, where they can be treated there and live when they want to live, close to their family, close to their friends. And third, again, when I said more prevention, that includes mental health. It's extremely important. So let's stop talking about structures and talk about people.
Okay, we're going to go to Monsieur Milliard, and we're focusing on jobs and how we're going to get those people back in the...
And healthcare, and jobs in healthcare especially, those vacancy rates are a true problem, and especially as healthcare is the biggest budget at the government of Quebec. We spend or we invest $1 billion a week in healthcare, so might as well have some people that know about this sector of activity. When we look at the fact that we're missing people, I think we need more training programs, actually, especially in the regions. And those are going to be strong magnets of people, especially in Cégep, in Eastern Quebec, in Abitibi-Témiscamingue, in Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean. I've traveled around Quebec for the past year, and I've seen that there's an interest, there's an appetite for Cégep to host more healthcare-oriented training programs.
Monsieur Bélanger.
Well, I have to jump on the private sector. I think that one of the things that is important to understand with respect to the region, the goal is to make a minimum acceptable for the population in general. As we know the rights, we have individual rights and collective rights, and when we look at the rights of the people could choose to go to another kind of system. The goal is to make sure that the system, the public system is okay for everyone to a certain level of standard. And if we go with the private, I think that could bring money in the system because there is a way, for example, to put taxation on the services that are offered on the private sector in order to finance the public system.
Exactly.
We're going to go to Monsieur Roy and then Mr. Rodriguez.
So it's clear today. We either do something or we will lose this system, the public health care system that has been created, that is a foundation of the Quebec, that is essential for social justice in Quebec, that is differentiating us from United States, from other parts of the world. It is essential to save it, and the point that we have right now, how are we going to bring back people in the public health care system? I'm the only one who's going to bring people back to the system.
Monsieur Rodriguez.
You want to keep workers, bring back workers, value their work,
Exactly.
respect them. That's fundamental. Exactly the opposite of what François Legault is doing, getting to fights against doctors, getting to fights against nurses. Recently, for family reasons, I went to the Lévis Hôtel Dieu Hospital, and while I was there, I went to different floors and talked to the workers. They're discouraged, and this is because of la CAQ.
They need support, Pablo. They need support. They need a straight and strong message from the government. You are the most important people in our system. But in fact, it's not the case. I'm totally agree with what you said. And Mark, you're right. We need to have access to this private sector to help us to gain our productivity, but also to be able to manage good services to our population based on public fund. Nothing else than that, Mario. It's nothing than that.
But it's impossible to pay.
Yes, it's possible.
The difference between public and private, it's simple. Private system will make profit. Over a long term, it's impossible for the society, for the government to pay.
I agree with most of what you're saying, because I think the role of the Premier of Quebec is to be the guardian of the public system. But at the same time, in a recent Léger poll, 42% of Quebecers are using partly the private sector. So we just need to stop being hypocrite about that. There's
Okay, we're off and running.
All right.
We're sticking to a very tight time schedule. We're going to turn our attention now to tuition and Quebec universities. On April 24th, Quebec Superior Court struck down a tuition hike that the CAQ government imposed on out-of-province students seeking to attend universities in Quebec, and the French language requirements that the government was imposing on them. Specifically, Judge Eric Dufour highlighted the ministry's lack of data to support its claims that this cohort of students was not integrating into Quebec society. The ruling, as it has been widely reported, invalidated the changes the Higher Education Ministry made to its budgetary rules. Those changes had initially doubled the tuition fee and required 80% of students to learn French by graduation. That was later rolled back to include a 33% hike. So my question is to you, if you were Premier, what would you do given this judgment? And we're going to start with Monsieur Milliard.
Well, first I'm going to say something that Premier Legault will never say. I'm proud of McGill, I'm proud of Bishops, I'm proud of Concordia, I'm proud of John Abbott, Champlain, St. Lawrence. I think the CAQ has damaged our reputation Canada-wide and internationally as well. And this needs to stop right now. So as Premier, I'm going to cancel the discriminatory tuition fees for Canadian residents, and I'm going to restore funding based on mission, based on excellence, and we're going to restore respect to the university system right now. And as for international students, they're not part of Quebec's problems, they're part of the solutions. And hopefully they're there, and hopefully they're here so that we can have more highly trained programs, especially, again, as I was mentioning, in the different CEGEPs around Quebec. We need more international students, and we need more respects when it comes to education in Quebec.
Thank you. Monsieur Marc Bélanger.
Well, this is one place that I will be able to give you a good example when I'm thinking about revenues and not only expenses. You know what? Knowledge is something that everywhere in the world they're looking for knowledge. We have knowledge. Knowledge for us should be treated as a natural resources because we are able to sell that knowledge everywhere around the world. I teach at McGill a long-distance class, in fact, and there's people that not necessarily only from Montreal. So the point is, they are paying for that. So the goal is to make sure that we generate income that we could reinvest in the system. This is the main reason. Thinking about like bringing people, and I'm not saying we will continue to do that, but more than that, we could like train or give the knowledge to people all around the world, our knowledge, make money with that.
Thank you. Now we'll turn to Mr. Blackburn. You have 1 minute.
We talk about money. I'm totally agree with you, Mark. Can you imagine? Can we refuse $3 billion investment every year? No yet. But this is exactly what the outcome came from the students coming from everywhere around the world. We need them. We need to be able to attract population, to attract the best talent all around the world. And my way is, from Lac-Saint-Jean point of view, is some francophonic region. But we need to attract more talent here in Quebec. Why? Because it's going to create prosperity. If we're going to invest in the international universities or CEGEP, of course, we will have a better situation, better life, and better way. If we invest in our population, if we are more educated, if we are more talent, if we are attracting more talent from everywhere around the world, we're going to be a better society, more rich and more efficient.
Merci, Monsieur Blackburn. We'll turn now to Monsieur Roy. You have 1 minute.
Yes, so this subject is really, really important to me. I went to McGill University. I did my studies as a Francophone coming from both. I learned English at McGill University, myself and many people from my family. Today, the institutions themselves are at risk. From the decision from the provincial government and the federal government, we are about to lose those institutions where I had the chance to learn English, where I had the chance to study in English in Quebec. That's an institution that I will always defend. That's an institution, all Anglophone institution needs to be protected, and we need to change that vision that bilingualism is a weakness. It's not a weakness, it's the strength, and we will defend it. I will defend it when I will become the next Prime Minister.
Thank you, Monsieur Roy. We'll turn to Mr. Rodriguez.
Both my parents were university professors in Sherbrooke. My sister is actually teaching at Sherbrooke University, and what the CAQ did is wrong. It's absolutely wrong. It's a bad move. And everybody agrees on that. I spoke with many deans from Francophone University, from Université de Montréal, Université de Sherbrooke, Polytechnique. They all agree because they all work in the same ecosystem. They all share resources. They have common projects. The CAQ shot themselves in the foot. They hurt our society. Our university, they help our economy innovate. They challenge the status quo. They attract talents from all over the world. So our job as a party and as a premier is to support those universities, not to hurt them.
Thank you. Well, just as a quick follow-up to Monsieur Milliard, the CAQ government has on several occasions reduced funding to English post-secondary educational institutions, including Dawson College and Concordia and McGill universities. What would you do as the head of the Liberal Party to protect English institutions?
Well, basically, we're going to reverse all that the CAQ did, all what the CAQ did in the past 6 years. It's a mess. It's a disaster. So we need to reverse that. And as a lot of my colleagues mentioned, we need to be proud to be in a bilingual country. When you speak French and English, so when you're a bilingual Canadian, you speak two of the 5 most important languages on earth. So that's a true asset that we need to work on. As you probably noticed, I come from a 100% Francophone background. I learned English as Mario through school, through work. But I'm looking at some of my young people on my team who are 20, 21, 22. They're perfectly bilingual. They're in a way better position than I was at their age. And that's what we need to promote in Quebec.
So we're going to open it up, or as I'd like to say, we'll say bonjour, hi to open debate. So we'll go to Monsieur Roy.
Bonjour, hi.
Yes, please. So, Mr. Rodriguez, in your statement that you just made, you were blaming the CAQ, and unfortunately, what you said is real. The CAQ has been making wrong decision about the university, increasing tuition fees, which I'm planning to reverse. But the universities felt abandoned by the federal government. You did nothing at all. You closed your eyes on the problem. The institutions were destroyed from right and left, and the federal government looked at it and did nothing. So when you come here and say, we will change what is going on, why didn't you do it before coming here?
We're going to go to Monsieur Rodriguez and then Mr. Bélanger.
I said it, I come from a family of university professors, and I always, all my life, stood up for universities. My daughter went to Concordia, and from day one, when the CAC did this, I came out publicly. I was a minister in the federal cabinet. I came out and I said very strongly, this is bad, Monsieur Legault, this is a bad idea, because you're closing windows and doors to the words. Those are my direct quotes. Go back and read the papers. It's exactly what I said.
Nothing has changed.
We're going to go to Mr. Bélanger and then Mr. Blackburn.
Fighting education is the worst thing that a government could do. And it's exactly what the CAC is doing.
Exactly.
Make no sense at all. So the problem is when we do that, we don't attract talent. We don't, we don't increase as a society. We don't give us a future, in fact. And one of the things that I would like to say also, if the CAC is so nervous about bringing students speaking another language in Montreal, what is the next step? Tourists?
Mr. Blackburn.
I'm totally agree with you, Mark. The CAC government tried to divide population one against the other one, and it did the same with a lot of subjects. Just think about it. When we talk about immigration, when we talk about education, this is exactly what Mr. Legault said. And don't be surprised. Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon will try to do the same when he will propose to be the next premier on the general election. But in our sense, I think we should use our border like something to attract the best talent all around the world. And I just want to make sure that my sons, my grandchild, will have exactly the same opportunity that I didn't have when I was young. Because in Saint-Jean area, we didn't have the opportunity to learn English. But all my four boys, actually, are bilingual. And something frustrating for me, you know, because I need to learn every day with my teacher, Amanda. Thank you, Amanda.
Monsieur Milliard and then Monsieur Roy.
Well, I agree with my colleagues that the CAC and the PQ has been dividing us for decades or years in that regard, whether to win a referendum or to win an election. Imagine, close your eyes and imagine that we're in a Quebec whose headlines in the newspapers are not issues on immigration, issues on identity, issues on language. This is what we need. We need less Mr. Roberge, less Mr. Drainville, and more of the QLP. That's what we need right now.
We're going to go to Monsieur Roy, quickly to Mr. Rodriguez, and then back to Monsieur Bélanger.
So I think we all agree that the CAG made the wrong decision. Unfortunately, nothing has been done at the federal level. But what I'm suggesting right now is that if we want to win at the next federal election, the PLQ, this party absolutely need to renew themselves with a new leader that will be young and fresh and will be able to fight and win against Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon. He will do worse.
Monsieur Rodriguez, quickly.
We agree on this one, Mario. You know what the best way to avoid this? It's to beat the CAC, and it is to beat the Parti Québécois. And this was going to do all of us together.
Monsieur Bélanger, you have the last word on this.
Yeah, I'm just taking 10 seconds. Just mention that if we are in the way to accept people, I think that we should give the chance to our young to go outside the country also to visit and having an opportunity to meet different community.
We have 10 seconds.
Between you and I think Mr. Legault not going to be run for the next general election. Maybe we have to say something for him. Mr. Legault, let go. And we have to look behind Mr. Legault.
Okay, we're going to turn now to a hot button topic within the English-speaking community, Bill 96. There are many thorny issues that have been raised with Bill 96, the update to the French language charter, including the preemptive use of the notwithstanding clause, the restrictions it imposes on English institutions, and the notion that only so-called historic Anglos would have access to services in English. In addition, Canada's new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, has said if the Supreme Court of Canada hears a challenge to the law, the federal government would seek to obtain intervener status. And then, earlier last month, when the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative published its annual list of trade barriers, it included Bill 96, listing it as a trade irritant between our two countries. Given all of this, where do you stand on Bill 96? And what changes, if any, would you make moving forward? And we're going to go to Mr. Rodriguez.
It's a very, very, very important question. First, French is the only official language in Quebec. It's a fact. And French has to be protected. That also is a fact. But you don't do that by attacking another community. You don't do that by attacking the Anglophone community. There's so many things in that bill that are wrong. I can name many of them. For example, the obligation to learn English within 6 months. The provisions that allow searches without a warrant. That means someone can go to your office without a warrant, without any special authorization, and leave with your documents, and you compare. That's also is wrong. The quotas for the CEGEPs, wrong. All those things that the CAC did, including the funding for the universities, is wrong. And so those things, the first time, the day when I come in, we're going to reverse them. Because we're always going to protect French, but never against the Anglophone community.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Monsieur Blackburn, the floor is yours.
I think we all agree about that. French is our common public language. It's something we share and can be proud of that. Be sure that we will still always on the same place when it will be the time to discuss with Mr. Trump administration. But also, we can affirm and protect the French language without taking people's right away. This is a value we have here in Quebec. And when we will see Mr. Trump saying we need to fix that or to address it on the next discussion or negotiation, I think we have to stay strong behind that fact that here in Quebec, it's in French. Also, but we don't have to restrain the right to the other civilization or other population. And this is exactly what I continue to defend. We need to be at the table. We need to believe in Canada also, because Mr. Legault didn't believe in Canada, and it's not a surprise. He can't be at the table with the Premier Carney. We will.
Thank you, Monsieur Blackburn. Monsieur Bélanger, c'est à vous.
Since the beginning, the journalists are always asking me, what about 96? What about 96? And I say, well, give me more than 3 seconds to answer. So what I have done is I have included in my book, I wrote a book.
You wrote a book.
Agir par conviction.
You wrote a book.
And on that book, I have mentioned the complexity of individual and collective rights. What I'm going to say to you is that 96 will be reviewed, because I don't believe in any measure that is not giving any result, real result. And I see in 96 a lot of elements that are unacceptable because there is no proof of result. And the other thing is, no way that we will limit the possibility for French speakers to have access to English languages. This is English language. My 2 sons went to the college in Gatineau, and they speak 4 languages. And I think that this is the way of future, not limiting the access to English.
Thank you, Monsieur Bélanger. Monsieur Milliard.
Well, you know what? We need to change laws, we need to change regulations, but the first thing we need to change is the tone. So we need to stop using language as a political weapon in Quebec. It is a total nonsense, and this needs to stop right now. And as Premier, I'm going to be promoting and defending French, but not at the expense, of course, of English and of the English-speaking community. And you know what happens last week or so? Was it last week? The so-called Go Abs Go gate is just a crystal clear example of what's going wrong right now with Bill 96 and with the OQLF. And you know what? The OQLF is not to blame. The CAC is to blame, because the OQLF is applying a flawed law. So we need to repeal some parts of Bill 96, and we're going to say that in English, we're going to say that in French, maybe in Spanish if someone asks me.
I can do that.
It's going to be that. I know that. I know that. Well done.
I will stay with the French.
But I'm just going to end by saying that we can be for the promotion and the protection of French and be against parts of Bill 96. That's what the trap that the CAQ is putting us on, and we need to get out of this.
It's
Thank
a trap.
you.
It's a trap.
Monsieur Roy.
So, I come from the Beauce, I come from a region, I don't think I need to convince you from that, you all know it. To me, protecting French is essential. But I will absolutely protect all minorities. Everybody, all Quebecers are equal and should be protected and should be on the same level. The Anglophone felt abandoned in the past few years. They don't feel home anymore. That's what is going on right now in Montreal. Many people are telling us. So it's clear to me that, yes, we need to protect French, but we need to protect all minorities, all Anglophone communities, Anglophone universities, institutions, everything should be protected. It's a strength. Let's change the vision that the CAQ has been doing for the past 5-7 years.
Thank you. Seeing that we're all warmed up, I'm going to direct a follow-up question to Mr. Blackburn on the subject of language. The island of Montreal is frequently described as being not French enough. That the frequency you hear English is, we frequently hear English on the street. Is this a situation that needs to be changed? And is there a way to promote French without suppressing English?
Of course, of course. First of all, I'm strongly a believer that the French can be a very, very big part of our possibilities to develop the world. We don't have to fight or do the same thing that Mr. Legault did when he opposed Quebecers, divide us, Francophones against Anglophone. And I think in Montreal we have some regulation. And what I said, of course, in business or in Quebec, it's in French. But we don't have to turn down the rights to the population. And if I may say that, with the new law, I intend to appeal portion of the law, such as a quotas for Francophone and English cégep of university. We need to address it, and we need to fix it.
Monsieur Bélanger, would you like to get in?
Yes.
And then Monsieur Milliard.
I think that what is important to understand is there is the protection of English, but and in the as a minority, but the protection of French is also important. But you know what? When you arrive, for example, in a business like I was in downtown Montreal, I was working in big offices, and we are like 26 around the table, and there is only one person who speaks English, and all the meeting is in English. This is unacceptable, and I think that the technology should be involved. So there are like plenty of things that we need to protect French. But again, I don't think that the Anglophone will complain because we find a solution for meetings in French in Montreal.
Monsieur Milliard.
Well, I think I hope people don't think that English-speaking community is just in Montreal. You know, I started my campaign back in January in the Pontiac region with MNA André Fortin was supporting my campaign. And as most of you know, I live in North Atlee, this beautiful village in Estrie, which is, I think, the quintessential bilingual town. I mean, there's 700 of us. I think 350 are Anglo and 350 are Franco. So there's multiple realities when it comes to linguistic diversity in Quebec. And to your question, if we want to have more French, whether in Montreal or elsewhere, we just need to offer more French classes and not cut in them. It's kind of schizophrenic that we're asking immigrants to learn French and then they're registering in Lévis, Shawinigan, French classes, and they don't have access. And I think Greg Kelly, your MNA, has been very clear about that for a number of years. If we want French, we need to offer French classes.
Merci. Monsieur Roy.
So it's clear to me that Bill 96 is going too far, too fast. We need to change it, especially, and we need to come back to what is going on right now. We are in trade war. We have businesses that are having trouble going through that intense period right now, and they are having trouble to compete. We need to adapt to the political, economical context, and we also need to repeal that bill and make it more adaptable for the businesses and for the Quebec.
We're going to go to Monsieur Rodriguez and then back to Monsieur Bélanger.
Well, the first thing that it has to stop is to stop, pointing fingers. This is exactly what Legault is doing. This is exactly what Lacaque is doing, creating different categories of Quebecers. There's only one category of Quebecer. A Quebecer. A Quebecers, a Quebecers, a Quebecer. That's it. Whatever the language you speak. When I came here, I didn't speak a word of English or French. Zero. Only Spanish. Charles, that's what I could do. Only Spanish. And I realized then that if I wanted to have friends or get a pass playing hockey, I should learn the language. And also then I learned English too. That's a strength. It is, because I can read books in Spanish, English, and French. I can travel around the world. More languages better. We will always defend French. Always. But not attacking the Anglophone community. Never.
Monsieur Belanger.
We know technology now is a big part with the artificial intelligence. I think that it's possible to give additional than just class in person. My two sons learn 2 languages with an application on the web. It's crazy. We need to go to another level of technology. And the other thing is, I think that volunteer, I think that it's possible to ask people that have a conversation, because learning in class is one thing, but have the chance to discuss with people. And I think that we should set up a group of people, that could give time to foreigner, to new citizen to speak French.
We're going to go to Monsieur Roy quickly, and then back to Monsieur Milliard.
Yes, really quickly. On Bill 96, you mentioned that, yes, all Quebecers are Quebecers, but what have you done in the past few years? What have you done? What have you done? So we need to have someone who's going to come at the next election and is going to be able to fight and win against Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon. And it's going to come back. And the Anglophone community do not feel home today. And it's because, yes, of the CAQ, but because of the federal government as well.
Monsieur Milliard, very quickly, and then we're going to get back to here so they
just
can
want to
respond.
go back to Bill 96, because I read a piece last week in the Gazette from Alison Ains, and she put it so beautifully, saying that Bill 96, the aim is noble, but the execution is farcical.
Quickly,
so that's the issue we have right now.
Mr. Rodriguez, and then Mr. Blackburn.
I had the privilege to be elected 6 times, and that I was minister for many years. I stood up for Quebecers, for all Quebecers, and the rights of all Quebecers.
Monsieur Blackburn, you get the last word.
Well, this is exactly what I'm doing to do. I will protect all rights from every Quebecers here in Quebec, except we don't have to divide population like Mr. Legault did in the last 8 years.
Okay, we're going to turn our attention to another topic now. In October 2023, the Quebec Liberal Party published a report put together by its renewal committee, which stated, and I quote, "We must be proud to be Quebecers, proud to be Canadians, and continue to prioritize the protection and promotion of Quebec's interests within the Canadian Federation. Among the proposals put forward were the drafting of a Quebec Constitution and confirming the existing rights of English-speaking Quebecers. In fact, the report states, and I quote again, "The Quebec Constitution should confirm Quebec's existence as a nation within the Canadian Federation, the status of French as an official and common language, the fundamental rights and freedoms of Quebecers, and the contribution of cultural communities. The existing rights of the English-speaking community to education and health services in English and to have control over their institutions should be clearly recognized in the Quebec Constitution." My question to all of you is, will you implement these recommendations? And we will start with Monsieur Roy.
Yes, thank you for the question. So the simple answer is yes, I will implement. So I am planning on implementing to have a Quebec Constitution in the hope, with the plan of signing the Canadian Constitution. And that's pretty clear to me. And we will do it in order to protect all the rights and freedom of all Quebecers, no matter where they come from, no matter where their origin, no matter what language they speak. It's really important for me, and I want to sign the Canadian Constitution and, of course, apply the recommendation from the party.
Thank you, Monsieur Roy. We will turn to Monsieur Charles Milliard.
I think the idea of a constitution is interesting. As you know, British Columbia has its own. But at the same time, this is not a priority for me. My priorities are healthcare, the economy, transportation, and getting rid of the CAC. That's the basic thing that is propelling me. That being said, I think that one of the reasons the Constitution is interesting is that it would prevent people like Simon Jolin Barrette from using identity laws as a candy store or using the clause as a candy store. But at the same time, I'm finding in my touring of Quebec that especially the English-speaking community does not have a good appetite or a very big appetite for that. So I'm gonna stand on that. I think this is an interesting opportunity, but not a priority for me.
Thank you. We will now turn to Monsieur Rodriguez. You have 1 minute.
I would say, same as Charles, not our priority. The economy, education, top priority, health. I'm okay with the idea if it entrenches the defense of fundamental rights, if it entrenches the protection of the rights of the Anglophone communities and other communities. And to be honest and realistic, we need our own constitution, our own option of constitution. If not, we'll be debating Jolin Barrette's constitution, right? We need something to offer in return and open the debate. And I want to thank all the people on that committee who made an enormous work on this one. But again, we have to focus on those things that matter the most for us. One of the reasons Legault likes to talk about the issues that divide us is because he doesn't want to talk about the deficit, which is huge, or hospitals that are crumbling, or education that is suffering. But we'll talk about those issues because those are the priorities.
Thank you. Monsieur Blackburn, you have 1 minute.
Brenda, you wasn't there yesterday, but you know what is my main priority? It's the economy. And we need to have a stronger economy. This is exactly what I continue to propose. But I will support, I think it's important to say that, I will support an inclusive constitution that protects all Quebecers' rights and affirm our identity within the Canadian Federation. We are the only party can say that strongly what we said. And this is a precedent for interprovincial constitution. But in fact, during this particular context of our economic uncertainties, it's not in our first priority. It's not in my first priority, but it's a gesture that I'm support. The Constitution can be a valuable tool to affirm yourself as an inclusive, plural society where all Quebecers' rights and freedoms are protected. Exactly what I said.
Thank you. And building on that, I'm going to direct a secondary question to Mr. Did I skip you? Yeah. My apologies.
Sorry.
You can't see him.
My apologies. Monsieur Bélanger, I'm sorry.
Well, some people could try to escape. Questions. And, well, with respect to the Constitution, I think that, for me too, it's not a priority. I think that my priority is to make Quebec richer than that we are right now. And one of the things that I have a little problem with the proposition is what I would like to have, if we go in that direction at some point of time, is that we need to have something that is will stay over time. So a constitution, 100 years after, we still keep that, but by including the laws under the constitution, we may have some change. And one of the things, if we want to fight la CAQ on economic, I think that is a better way. They haven't done good move. For example, with Norvote, this is not a move that is a nationalist economic. I think the Liberals should go in that direction first.
Building on that, we're going to follow up with a directed question to Mr. Rodriguez, and then we'll open it up to debate. Even though everybody's saying it's not a priority, some people say it have different takes on it. It is part of the Quebec Liberal Party's policy. Mm-hmm. However, there are some Quebecers who believe that right now the threat to Canadian sovereignty coming from the United States is important, and maybe that it's not time to press for that constitution. If you could elaborate a little bit more on your views on this point.
Yeah. Well, I think you're right. As I said it from the start, it is not the priority. I think that the committee did an excellent work, but And I support it. I support it. Again, there's real reasons for it, like if it entrenches the rights of the different communities, it entrenches the right of English-speaking Quebecers to choose their own school boards, for example, because they can, and they should, and they will. And also, if who's going to write it? Like, let's say we have a constitution at the end of the day, and it becomes, because the constitution doesn't belong to me, to us, or to the CAQ, or it belongs to Quebecers. So is that the government? Is that Jolin Barrette who's going to write it? Is it a committee of MPs? Who's going to write it? Because at the end, that makes a hell of a difference. But the most important thing is to talk about the economy, education, and health.
Monsieur Roy.
We will write it. So we need to have it for two reasons. The first one is, first, the militant has voted. I think the leader of the party should have the responsibility to implement it. That's the first simple thing. The second thing is, why aren't you in favor? And then you say that it's not a priority, so why don't you not do it? So I'm proposing to do it. I'm proposing to do it and sign the Canadian Constitution. And the Canadian Constitution, we need to sign it right now. As you said, we are in a period, a trade war, and the population needs to see a real difference between the Parti libéral du Québec, the proposition, and the proposition from the PQ.
Monsieur Milliard.
Well, as I mentioned, this is something that is really interesting, and we should take that into account, given the fact that it's coming from militants. Mario is right on that. But at the same time, the only way this project of constitution is going to work if it is transpartisan, if it goes beyond party lines, and that we can build that with the CAQ, with all the parties. That's something that is bigger than what we are. We're talking about the whole Quebec here. So this is something that needs time. And in the meantime, I think we should work on issues like the economy and healthcare and a stronger Canada. You mentioned the fact that people are eager to work for a better Canada. Only 28% of Quebecers right now want the separation of Quebec. This is great news. But we need we need a premier that believes in Canada so that we can work towards a stronger Canada.
Monsieur Bélanger.
Blackburn.
Blackburn.
I didn't write a book. but I think we are all aligned with the fact that our commission, Inside Commission, did a great job on that, thinking about a new constitution. But I think we are all aligned also that we need to protect and to have a stronger economy. We talk about war, economic war. Yes, we are in an economic war. But what we can do to be able to be stronger in that context? First of all, we need to reinforce our energy, our dependence about our energy. Then this is exactly what I'm going to propose about the economy. We need to have a stronger independence with our energy. Also, we need to protect our barriers. This is why I propose to build an industrial defense economy sector. Why? Because all of the money we will spend on that will be in Quebec. We need to be the leader on that new industrial policy to protect our borders. And this is something is going to create economy, is going to create job in our regions, and it's so important. And I think this is in that way we're going to succeed. And of course, we can have the possibility to discuss constitution after it.
Monsieur Bélanger.
I think that the priority should be the nationalization of the water first. I think that this is the top priority. It's the most important thing that we have, and we have to protect it, especially with what happened with the US. I think that when we look at Norwegian Fund, and they have $1,600 billion on their fund, and we're looking in Quebec what we have, it's not normal that we don't export our natural gas, for example, in Quebec. And this should be the priority. I don't think we should focus on anything. And you know what? I totally agree with you that it should be transpartisan. But could you imagine spending time with la CAQ and Parti Québécois trying to find a solution on that?
It's the fact that I'm not very in a hurry.
Monsieur Rodriguez.
It's exactly as I said at the beginning, and what just been said by Marc and Charles previously. It has to be transparent. Can you imagine something, and it's going to happen, written by by Jolin Barrette. Like, who trusts Jolin Barrette to write the Constitution, right? Like, I don't see many hands here. Right? So, and because we see things differently, it has to be transpartisan. We see it very different. We care about Canada. We're Canadians. They're not. They're trying to break up the country. We're not. We're defending our country. We're defending our sovereignty as a nation, as Quebecers within Canada, but as Canadians within the world. Never forget that.
Monsieur Roy, the final word.
I mean, I think it's pretty clear to me that I'm the only one who's protecting the minorities and wants to make it a priority. And I don't see a problem working and fighting on two fights. And that's really, really important to understand that it's a question of fighting minorities, and we can work on two things at the same time, and that's the role of the government.
Thank you.
No, okay.
Well, we're gonna turn the corner, but not completely leave the street here. We're a related issue about the tariff war and the threat from the U.S. We're going to give everybody 1 minute to respond. What would a provincial government under your leadership do to protect Quebec's economic interests? More specifically, in any trade pact that might be negotiated with the U.S., where do you stand on Canada's supply management system, designed to protect farmers, particularly dairy, egg, and poultry producers? And how can Quebec's interests in the aluminum and other targeted sectors be protected? Feel free to be specific. We'll go to Monsieur Bélanger.
Well, the question is not necessarily what we should do, but what we should have done. I think that this is what I mentioned about the fact that we have a lack of vision when we do politics. In 2002, I was talking about diversification. I think that for sure, we have to protect and fight during the next negotiation. And I think that right now what we should do, we should invest in publicity in the US, because the only way to make that guy change his mind is by putting pressure on him by his population. Having said that, I think the only way that we could protect ourselves for the future is to enrich Quebec. As I mentioned, could you imagine if we had a fund, Quebec fund, with the natural resources of $1,600 billion? Probably we will probably laugh in the face of Donald Trump, but it's not the case right now. But we should go in that direction.
Thank you. Monsieur Roy.
Yes, so I'm a true federalism. I believe in Canada, and I want to fight for it. I want to fight for the unity and the sovereignty of Canada. So we need to remove the interprovincial barriers between the provinces in Canada. We need to develop our economy to stay united with the West, develop our economy to win against Donald Trump. That's clear to me. We need to exploit our resources. We also need to get rid of the carbon taxes, because it's making our economy weaker. It's increasing the cost of living, and it's making the cost of production really high. So we need to get rid of it and be on the same level as the rest of the other provinces.
Thank you. We're going to turn to Monsieur Charles Milliard.
So I'm a true federalist too, obviously, but I want to be Premier of Quebec. So the main focus is going to be Quebec in a stronger Canada. And what's happening right now with the US is not only a trade war, it's a test of leadership. And so we're going to evaluate our leaders based on what's going to happen during this trade war. And I think it's an opportunity for us to go stronger as to how we want to work for a better Canada. And we have pretty good examples with the Liberal Party of Quebec when it comes to work towards a better Canada. The masterclass being Jean Charest, the masterclass being the creation of the Council of Federations. We used to be very good at having diplomatic relation and commercial and energetic relationships with our colleagues from our fellow Canadians. We need to go back to that. Mr. Charest knew all the premiers, all the leaders of the opposition, of all the territories too. We need to go back to that. Quebec-Canada relation should not only be having Mr. Legault having a beer with Doug Ford once a year.
Thank you. Monsieur Rodriguez.
Well, I stood up to Donald Trump. I was part of the ministers that negotiated the first free trade agreement with Trump. And he's going around now saying, oh, what about deal? What about deal? He signed it. He signed the deal that we negotiated with him. That's the actual deal that's on the table. And I'm going to tell you something. It's a secret, but don't tell anyone. It's not easy to deal with this guy. He changes his mind quite a lot. So we have to be united. We have to be united as Canadians. But first, you have to believe in Canada. And Legault doesn't believe in Canada. He doesn't even understand Canada. I, as a minister, have negotiated deals with every province and every territory in the country. We have to have a united position against Trump. And if it lasts too long, then we need measures to help our small and medium-sized businesses. Very important.
Thank you. Monsieur Blackburn.
First of all, we need to be at the table. Mr. Legault, I totally agree with Pablo. Mr. Legault doesn't believe in Canada. Then he can be sit at the table to protect Quebecers. And this is exactly what I'll promote. First of all, I'm totally agree with Mario when he said we need to fix the interprovincial barrier, because here inside Canada, we have more than $3.9 billion if we are able to reduce this barrier. But also, we need to look at somewhere else. We need to diversify our market, especially with other provinces, but also with some other Francophone countries. And this is exactly what I did in the past when we created the Alliance des Patronats Francophones. It's something now we can reach more than 10 million businesses all around the world in Francophonie. But Pablo, I'm a little bit afraid when you talk about you were at the table to negotiate the last agreement.
So do I.
Will you agree when we let on the table some specific measure to our agricultural system, to our cultural system? And it's a long, long cost that.
So we're going to get down to the details. Yeah. We talk about interprovincial trade barriers and reducing them. What specifically would you do, Monsieur Bélanger? You have 45 seconds, and then we're going to open it up to the floor.
This is one thing that is very important to understand. When we have barrier between the provinces, and I hope that they will fall. But the point is, the reason why they are there is because we have for example, in Quebec, we have some specificity that we want to protect. Okay. So putting in front people that have knowledge on commerce, they know that it's not that easy. I've been in Europe, and I study in Europe the Union Européenne, and they have a supranational organization to supervise the rules. So it's very difficult to go interprovincial. But the point is, if we go nationally, international, at that point is more easy because we don't have to let anything on our table.
Monsieur Roy, and then Monsieur Milliard.
When you say we need to remove interprovincial barriers, I totally agree. But if we do it, there are some agricultural producers right now who are extremely afraid of this if we still have the carbon taxes. Right now, today, we're not able to compete. So if we remove the interprovincial barriers, we won't be able to compete with the other provinces. So we will keep losing, even faster our enterprise. We won't be able to compete against other countries, other provinces. So we need to remove it clearly before we remove our interprovincial.
Monsieur Milliard and then Monsieur Bélanger.
Well, quickly, I think we should get rid of most of the exemptions when it comes to interprovincial trade, except those that are concerning the culture of Quebec and the language. This is non-negotiable, as I've heard in the federal election, and I think that's great news. But it needs to get easier to do business and to get access to Canadian products and workers. I want to get Okanagan Valley wine easier than I can get French wines. I want to hire a construction worker from Cornwall easily. Those are the things that we can get rid of, and I think that Mr. Carney is going that way, and this is great news. But we need Premier Legault to agree with that.
Monsieur Bélanger.
Yeah, what I mentioned is I didn't say that I want to remove them. I'm just saying that it's to tell the population that we will remove them. They will have surprises when it will be time, for example, for the language and the packaging. And by the way, Carl, you have mentioned about Pablo saying that it wasn't the negotiation. Pablo, I have done international negotiation, and you can be sure the people in front of me were not people like you.
Speaking of Mr. Pablo, Monsieur
Yes.
Rodriguez, you're up.
Well, it's normal. You were not in cabinet, Mark. So one of the things that I will do, as others said, is bring down those barriers. In Canada, we sit down with other premiers. First, we have to understand the country, how the country works, the provinces and the federal government. And when you think there's something good, you sign it. If not, you don't have to sign it. You don't do it. But there's another thing, even more important. We have to open more markets, right? Yeah. Canada is the only country, it's the only G7 country that has an agreement, free trade agreement with all the other G7 countries. We also have an agreement with Europe. We have an agreement with Great Britain.
Yes, but we cannot enforce
We have an agreement with the Indo-Pacific region.
We have an agreement with Europe.
Work. So that's a huge opportunity for us as Quebecers who are part of Canada, to open up more markets for us.
Monsieur Roy, and then Monsieur Blackburn.
We have an agreement with Europe, and you said that but we cannot enforce it. And I mean by this, we open up the market to let product and our supply management, but we're not able to access the market from Europe. And I know that unfortunately the past government knew it and they did not do anything for changing it. So we need, and when you said that you stood up for Canada in front of Donald Trump, I'm a farmer. I'm sure that there are agricultural producers in the audience or that listen to you. Unfortunately, the Canadian government gave some part of the market, and it's putting at risk our supply management. So I will, if I'm elected, I will protect supply management completely.
We are liberals. I think we should present a positive campaign. This is, this is what Pierre-Carl, my older son, yesterday told me. Carl, you need to have a positive campaign. And I will try to do something positively. And I think we are all together aligned with how can we develop a new market. Pablo, you list many countries. I think for the Canada, actually, we're not in the French Africa. We should invest in that part of the world, because when we look at the next decade to come, it's going to be more than billion potential customer partners in our development here in Quebec, and we should open this market also.
We're going to go to Monsieur Milliard and then Monsieur Belanger.
Carl is right about francophonie, but I think the main focus should be Europe and Indo-Pacific area right now, and especially with the European Union. We've been very adamant about getting this agreement with the European Union. It has been hard to get, but then the French and the Belgians are taking advantage of it way more than we do. So we need to be more active on that.
Monsieur Belanger.
It's one thing to say, well, we should go on the different market, but what we need is to present help to the corporation that try to do business overseas, because this is mainly the problem right now. They are not supported.
Thank you very much. We have come to close to the end here. We'll give each of you 2 minutes for your closing statements. And I remind everyone that the order in which everyone will be addressing the crowd is determined before the debate started by random draw. We will start with Mr. Belanger. You have 2 minutes.
25 years ago, I was in a college in Matane, and I was telling to a young student that I was running for MPs because I wanted to give them a future. 25 years after, I look at what the situation is in Quebec, and I have to say that it's not very good. And the reason is because we haven't made the right decision. We have made investment in foreign company instead of putting our energy on our companies in Quebec. We have not explore our natural resources, and we should do it thinking about the future with the environmental issues and stuff like that. But we should do it by ourselves and not putting us in situation where the US, for example, would put pressure on the next negotiation to have access to those natural resources. I think that we need to protect our water. even if we have to go to nationalization of our water. I think that the commerce, international commerce, is the way to go in the future. I think this is something that we need to present that to the population, having that vision as Jean Lesage, Robert Bourassa, investing in Quebec for the future. And the message needs to be given by someone that all Quebecers from all the region will believe. He will look at that person in the eyes and he will say, you know what, I trust that person to achieve what he's saying. My name is Marc Bélanger. I'm running for the Liberal Party.
Thank you, Mr. Bélanger. Monsieur Blackburn.
It's an happy hand for me, you know. It will be a hard time, but it's important to be here today. Thank you all for coming here today, and thank you to the other candidates for contributing to this debate. In a few weeks, liberals will have a choice to make. Here is what I have to offer. I have what it takes to rally people from every generation and background together to win. I believe that all Quebecers of all origin have rights, and I intend to defend them. I have the political and business experience needed to steer our province on the right direction. I'll bring a liberal government back to our party's core value, growing our economy so we can offer Quebecers better healthcare, better education, and better services. Make no mistake about it. Under my leadership, a liberal government will respect and protect the Anglophone community, their rights, their institutions, and their access to services like healthcare, education, and justice in their own language. I want to make that commitment today to you here, today, in François Legault's hometown, Saint-Anne-de-Bellevue. Yeah, that's right. I will succeed where he has failed. I will protect your community and your rights. Together, we can beat CAQ and PQ and put our province back on track. I hope I can count on your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Monsieur Roy, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much again for coming here today. So, I was born and raised in Saint-Jules-de-Beauce. I'm proud of my region. I hope you're all proud of your region. I was born and raised on a family farm. I took over the farm at 24 years old from my father, who actually is here today, who's helping me for my campaign, which I'm thanking him. I was born and raised on the family farm where I'm the seventh of a family of 9 children, and I've always worked hard on the farm, and I've always been involved in the community. For why? Because I wanted to help and serve people. In this campaign, I want to fight for you, serve you. The question is clear. At the next election, who is going to be able to win against Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon? The question is clear. I'm the only one who will be able to win against him. He is young, I am young. He represents the renewal, I represent also the renewal. He's been helped and raised with his father. I am also helped and helped by my father. But I will tell you what I have more than him to win this campaign at the next election. I am an economist, he is not. And today it's absolutely important to understand the economy. I have an enterprise, I understand the reality of the region, the reality of businesses, and he doesn't have. But the most important thing, he is proposing the separation of the Quebec. I'm proposing to unite Quebec and sign the Constitution. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Monsieur Pablo Rodriguez.
The first job of a premier, of a leader, is to bring its people together, not seek to divide. There's a reason why I'm running to be the leader of the Quebec Liberal Party. I sincerely believe that it's the only party capable of talking to every Quebecer, to unite Quebecers. We have always been the party that brought people together and moved us forward. We moved Quebec forward with the Quebec Charter of Rights, with the election of Madame Kirkland-Casgrain, and with the Council of Federation. Today, you had 5 strong candidates that presented their vision. And we heard good ideas, good plans to reconnect with people. The problem is that if all those ideas, if we don't win the next election, well, they're going to the garbage. So we have to win this. We have to win this, guys. Is it going to be easy? No. Is it possible? Absolutely. But you know what? It doesn't scare me. It doesn't scare me because I know what it takes to find a way back in the hearts of Quebecers. I know because I've done it. I've done it before. With a very strong team, I rebuilt the LPC in Quebec for the 2015 election. Everybody said, at the time, everybody said, it's impossible. But it was possible, and we made it. And I then led 3 campaigns in Quebec, and we won them all. So I have a plan, I have the team, and I have the experience. We need a leader that can win right away. So to choose that person, we need to answer 3 simple questions. Who's ready to govern Quebec? Who can rebuild a modern and inclusive Liberal Party? And most of all, who can beat François Legault? Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're going to turn to... I think they've forgotten about holding their applause. You have the last word, Monsieur Milliard.
Thank you, gentlemen, for this debate today. Over the past few months, I've traveled across Quebec. Everywhere I've heard about the lack of access, to healthcare, the poor state of our infrastructures, and the worrying state of our public finances. Everywhere I heard about the failures of the CAQ and the challenges we're going to face in 2026 at the next general election. The QLP is the only party capable of meeting those challenges. To do so, we need to roll up our sleeves and to reach out to Quebecers in every region. We must choose the next leader of our political party to take on the CAQ and the PQ in the next election and to form a government that is going to address the real priority of Quebecers and not dividing our communities at the expense of our rights. So enough with divisive bills on language and identity, enough with divisive rhetoric that makes people feel like they don't belong here as much as others. So why not say it out loud? Mr. Legault, a Quebecer is a Quebecer is a Quebecer. And Mr. Plamondon, Quebec is and will remain a strong part of Canada. On June 14th, you, the members of the PLQ, the QLP anyway, will have a crucial choice to make. There are 5 Liberals in front of you today. The difference beyond our ideas is the way we embody liberalism in 2025. I'm offering you a party that exudes renewal, that keeps the foundation of our house intact, but adds new doors, new windows, that shake the rugs, and above all, that brings a big, big breath of fresh air. I'm asking you to entrust me with the key to this house. And supported by members of all generations, from all backgrounds and all regions, the march towards renewal is well on the way. I need you, and Quebec needs us. Thank you.
And there you have it, the second debate of the Quebec Liberal Party's leadership race. I asked the candidates to stay on at the front. I just want to take this opportunity to let everyone know, if you are wishing to become a member of the Liberal Party in order to vote in the leadership race, you have until May 9th to register. You can go do that by going to the website. The next debate will be on May 10th, next Saturday, in Gatineau at the Hilton Hotel in Lac-Lémy, and it will be moderated by Marie-Ève Doyon. So thank you, everyone, for your time, your attention, And good luck to the candidates as they prepared for the leadership on June 14th. And with that, we'll say good afternoon. My name is Brenda O'Farrell. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you.